So, what happens in dreams, I feel, is that sometimes you're in a space, for example, and it is, let's say, a jungle. Whoa, vines everywhere, or some sort of maybe jungle temple thing, And imagine there's like this sort of a corridor and this sort of thing, and there's like an entrance like this, and then there's another section here that does something like this. I don't know, like a T shape, and it's got some things like this. Okay. And it's all covered in vines, there's grass, so that from a first person perspective, so to speak, it looks dangerously like a swastika. Not intentional. Anyway, you might, how do I do a first person perspective? If you were to look at this, it might look like, like some sort of jungle. I don't know. I'm trying to sort of depict how bushy and realistically jungly it can look. Because, of course, we all know, like, in a dream, you can be really lost in the middle of a location. The walls could be made of soft earth, and it's slightly earthy like this. There may even be little pools of water here, things dropping from the ceiling, strange golden decorations, and it's overall a complete picture of like a very strange jungle location in a dream, like in a video game. And then if you wake up, this has happened to me at least a few times, and so I'm just intrigued to explore this. If I were to recall my dream in detail, if I were to draw a map of this location, as I just did, and be like, okay, I just dreamt of a place that seemed to have like this section here. Usually you don't have, depends, but such detailed memories of dreams. It kind of depends, of course, but anyway, imagine you have this sense, at least in your mind's eye, you can kind of remember what it looked like to explore this location. Something that has happened to me sometimes is that I realize that this is a location I recognize. That is to say, if I were to, for example, erase all of the jungliness of it, if I were to simply look at it like as is, excuse me, I'd be like, oh, this is my supermarket, or whatever, right? The specific distribution, this is where the milk products are, this is where the alcohol section is, there's a bunch of like vegetable things here, some sort of meat counter, I don't know, whatever. Like, you might look at this shape and realize, oh, this is actually the shape of the place is a place I know. It's my local supermarket or whatever, or it's my local supermarket mixed with an old house I used to live in or something, and they've become fused. But sometimes I'm just intrigued by this idea that a completely fantasy unknown location such as a jungle temple can architecturally be the same as a location a location from your life. And I've experienced this in fiction as well, which might connect to video games, where when I'm reading a novel, for example, I may imagine the protagonist's house as being a house I've never seen in my life. But if I stop and think about it, even though the details may be different, the structure of the house can very often be that of a house that I know, a house of a friend, a house of someone that I've dated, or something like that. And I'm intrigued by this, by the way that very vague shapes a vague architectural plan can be filled in by, blue lakes of water and trees. Like, this could become an like an open air location in my dream. Imagine there's no ceiling. This could literally just be the sort of architectural plan of some garden in my dream. But then, if I look at it upon waking up and think about this shape that I've just been exploring, I'll realize, no, this is actually my public library or something. It's the same down to the specifics of the corridors and the way that this does an L shape and then this does this. Like, it's funny how an outdoor location and an indoor location can sometimes share similar architectural designs, depending on how you design them, what objects you place in them, right? And my question is, does this apply to art in some way? That is to say, when you create a video game, if you plan a location, obviously you're often doing this as a team, but imagine you were doing it on your own and you planned a map for your characters to explore. Could it be that this map is being drawn from a mishmash of places not exclusively, I just mean this in like one possible speculation. What if there was an element of places that and if that were the case, could it be that the different things that you place inside here, if you put a big fire in this part of the map and very scary enemies, could it be that this part of the real location inspires in you some emotion or thought that corresponds with the sorts of thoughts and emotions that fire might evoke in you as an artist, right? And if so, is the whole game, the whole locations of this work of art, being directed in some way by emotions that you feel that are mapping themselves onto three-dimensional space in some way? I just find this interesting from the perspective that then, as I said in my other video, another dream video I made, you as a player may resonate with this. Meaning, even though as a player you may not have visited the specific supermarket that has inspired, presumably, the game designer's design, you may have similar feelings stored towards similar sorts of places. And yeah, I'm just curious, how much of a conversation is there between the game designer and the player's emotions at a very subconscious level? And of course, even if you speak of a team of designers, as is usually the case, or a team of developers, could there be a collective mishmash? Like, one of the developers introduces a little bit of their emotions towards their childhood home, and another developer introduces a few of the feelings they have towards some car park they used to be afraid of as a child or something. And that mix could also sort of spark some emotions, navigate some terrains, so to speak, that that the players can feel identified with. But I mean identified down to the real precise locations in your life that may carry some of those emotions, the way that the same way that your feelings could be stored in very precise kind of instances of your life, precise moments, precise encounters, precise architectures and places and feelings that evoke these things, and therefore there is a language there, there's a speaking between the game designer or the artist and the audience at a level that's almost very mapping like. It's mapping out the sorts of places that you visit in your dreams, to put it one way. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thanks.